Liverpool beaten 3-0 at home at Anfield by Nottingham Forest. They are on pace to concede the most goals in 60 plus years since the 64-65 season, which, by the way, was a 42 game Premier League. Let's go there, Jules. There's, as I see it, there's so many things going wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's start unpacking. What is the most serious thing, if you had to boil it down to one thing?
I think for the first time, maybe since the start of the season, where we've talked enough about Liverpool's fragilities and problems, issues, and all of that. But I thought they were clueless on Saturday. I thought Arne Slot was completely lost, looked lost on the bench. He's usually quite composed, isn't he? He's usually quite
measured.
Measured, exactly.
Yeah. And his little notebook. And
yeah, exactly. But I mean, he was literally staring, like having no clue what to do next. He chucked a lot of players on, a lot of attackers on, which didn't make any sense. And as we know, this just rarely works anyway.
Well, you can't chuck defenders on because he doesn't have any.
It's true, but playing with two defenders from minute 55 or so is not the answer either if you're Liverpool Football Club. It's actually quite embarrassing to think that, hey, yeah, let's do that. Forest are never going to punish us for having to just two defenders on the pitch. And those defenders are Van Dijk and Kirkers as well. So they got spanked and they deserve to. And just nothing is going their way. And we said from the beginning, Gab, from the beginning of the season, a lot of the time, okay, he needs to find solutions now. There's a lot of issues, but that's why he's a highly rated manager, highly paid manager, successful manager, because those guys usually find answers. And I think for the first time on Saturday, I thought they had more problems than actually trying to find answers.
Look, I always say this, Slot obviously bears a lot of responsibility. Many of the players bear a lot of responsibility. There's a long laundry list. But I was struck by the fact that I have maximum respect for Virgil van Dijk because he's the guy who puts the face out there, right? Afterwards. He's the guy who talks and addresses it. And he said, it's a mess. There's no use denying it. Or he said something to that effect, right? I think it's a mess was his words. Okay, and obviously Slot speaks. There's nobody else. There's nobody else coming forward showing leadership other than Van Dijk, who, let's face it, hopefully he'll be part of the solution. He's also part of the problem here because there's nobody to replace him because he's not on the level he was at last year, even though he's better than Konate, although that's not saying much right now.
Yeah.
I think one of the ways out of this, we can sit here and say, all right, Slot, figure it out, try different combinations. He's tried just about everything, right? He's read Szoboszlai a right back, Szoboszlai in midfield. Kirk is in, Robbo in, Kirk is out. Wirtz has played left wing 10, right wing number 9. There's the Isak issue. He's tried all these combinations, and he can continue trying. And I think he will figure it out one day. But somebody else should speak up. Somebody else should give a voice here. And again, here we see the differences between the continent and the Premier League. In the continent, you would have an owner, a director of football, ideally, somebody coming out. I had Michael Edwards there. I don't know. It's just not done here culturally, but he looks so alone, Arne Slot.
Yeah. I mean, sure. I agree with you. I think it's always good to show unity, I guess, and things like that. But I think whoever talks, the problems on the pitch are so bad that I don't know what kind of help it would give. I mean, they play, I think, the PSV in the Champions League in midweek. And again,
that should help.
Well, would it?
Which bald Dutch manager is going to...
True, but then they also destroyed Napoli. And I don't know it was in Eindhoven. But so you just don't know, again, what you're going to get.
That was a bit fortuitous too. By the way, before, because I don't want Mr. Marinakis to call me and scold me again.
Yeah.
Can we give a lot of credit to Nottingham Forest and Sean Dyche, who I am not a fan of Sean Dyche, but you have to tip your cap to him for the impact he's had. I think it's been more than just going and getting them tidy and solid. This was only going in one direction. Yeah. Although some stat nerds told me that the underlying metrics under Postecoglou were actually more positive than the results, but I'll leave that to the all handlings.
They were. Remember the Chelsea game that they lost when they should have been 3-0 up at half time.
Huge win for Mr. Marinakis and also Nottingham Forest and Sean Dyche and everybody else. But mostly Mr. Marinakis, of course. It's going to be painful, Jules.
Yeah.
Let's go through this. First thing I want to highlight is squad construction. And I know, stop me if I said this before. And in this, there's two elements. One is you're integrating. They brought in, I think it was 10 new players. 2 of them are kids who never play. But at a minimum, is basically 5 starters. Plus Leone, who, for better or worse, was going to be part of the relation before he got hurt, right? This is when you bring this many people into a Premier League winning team, when on top of that, you also send a clear message to, and I'm not saying it's right, or I might have made this exact same decisions, right? But Trent, gone. In comes Kirkes. Robbo doesn't get a new contract. And here's Kirkes. And Kirkes is the new starter, the new left back, the new projected starter, right? Szoboszlai, hey, we won the title with you at number 10 last year, right? No, you moved to right back because you can pass.
Well, that was not the plan.
No, I know, but it became the plan very quickly. So I think I wonder if there was a destabilizing effect on some of the players who kind of like, wait, we won the title. Who are these people going in? The incredible Swedish Solk, some other Muppet who scored goals for Eintracht, right? Frimpong, come on. Kirkes coming from Bournemouth. So this is Liverpool. You have to prove yourself here first, and then we move the pieces around, right? And I wonder if to some degree, and it's a human element, right? We've all played, whatever level we played at. We played on teams. When there's a newcomer coming in, there's some element of that. None of these people, maybe Wirtz, maybe Isak, if it hadn't come out in that way, none of these people are Messi coming in. None of these people come in and, McAllister says, oh, wow, Kirkes is so much better than Robbo. Yeah, dump Robbo, right? Nobody said that. That, for me, is something that you have to allow for when you're changing nearly half the team, that it's going to take time. Maybe it shouldn't have taken this long, but it's going to take time. The other big thing, like we said, the failure to get Marquet, it's not inexcusable. Everything can be excused, and I'm sure there's reasons and whatever. Clearly, somebody got this badly wrong, either because they were duped, either because Steve Parrish was in his spa day in Soho that day and changed his mind. Something happened, which has not yet been made public, which torpedoed a deal that was done and a deal that Liverpool needed. And if I am the people running the club right now, I mean, Michael Edwards knows what happened. But if I'm Michael Edwards' boss, I ask, what happened? How do we make sure this never happens again, that we end up in this situation? Because, Jules, the situation can get worse. If Konate or Van Dijk get injured, the situation nosedives.
I mean, there's a month to wait now until the transfer window in January, which is inevitable that they're going to sign a defender. Ideally, I guess somebody who could play right back and centre back as well. But even if it's just a centre back or somebody who just can do a job there, I think they'll take it. It might not be Gehi because they might not be able to sign him in January for obvious reasons. It might have to be somebody else, and then maybe revisit Gehi as a free agent in the summer, or go for Upamecano if Konate leaves as well. Or I don't know.
By the way, quite a free agent market for center backs. Gehi, Upamecano, Konate. There's a lot on the market this summer.
It is, yeah. So let's see for the summer when that window arrives. But in January they have to, and it's actually weird to say that after spending almost £500 million in transfers 4 months ago, they would have to fix it in January in a month time, because there's still pieces missing in his jigsaw, which is quite unbelievable to say.
And throw more good money after bad, as the saying goes.
They can't have that much left, though, to be honest. Even if they sold well and hadn't done anything much in the last few transfer windows, they still have, a net spend of 200 million or so?
I think, it's going to be big. And I think, especially with the squad cost ratio rules coming in, they already exist, obviously. They're already subject to them in UEFA. But they're going to have to get the nerds to figure out, all right, what is the percentage chance that we don't make the Champions League?
Yeah.
And that will guide us to how much we can spend in terms of resources in January. In the same way that it's probably guiding them with Konate. I want to ask you about this because I told you this, that I don't know if it was last week or the week before. I told you, I'd been told, obviously wrongly, that there'd been a breakthrough in the Konate deal.
Yeah.
There obviously hasn't been.
No.
He's still not signed. Now, they took your French. I'm going to assume that you know the ins and outs. Why hasn't he extended?
No, they haven't found any. There's been nothing more positive in the last few weeks than there was before. I think he was not happy with the contract that he had, I think. And now, 6 months before being a free agent, and I think he's testing the market too and see what could come in. Maybe he wants something new. Maybe he felt like he's done enough at Liverpool.
In 5 weeks, he can sign with any club in Europe, and obviously in the summer he becomes a free agent. So that is something that's an issue. And I know they took a hard line with Salah, Van Dijk, and Trent last year, and it worked out with Salah and Van Dijk. But I think it's a different situation. I think it's Konate's 26?
25 or 26,
So he has a whole other career cycle ahead of him if he wants to at a different club. And you go back to this and, we saw what happened with Trent. And the reason Trent didn't extend his contract when he was supposed to, in other words, 18 months or 2 years before, was very simple. It was Klopp's final season. It was Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes they only came back, I think, in March of that year. So that time, that 18 months to 2.5 years or to 2 years left, which is the sweet spot for extending a deal and really committing to a club, there was nobody there, I think, to offer him the clarity. Klopp had said he was leaving. I think he said it in October, November, right? So all of a sudden, that's when I think Trent was taken aback. And in the end, in the last year, they couldn't come to terms. I think Liverpool had a clear ceiling on what they were willing to spend, and obviously Real Madrid were interested. And by the way, for those who said, if he really loved the club, he would have extended his contract, and that way Liverpool could have gotten a transfer fee. I can pretty much assure you that if Real Madrid had to spend 50 million on Trent would have had to take a massive pay cut to go to Real Madrid. More likely, Real Madrid wouldn't have spent 50 million on Trent. That's what makes the Konate situation different. You're not talking about somebody for 2 years, where if Salah or Van Dijk, if it goes pear-shaped, they'll be gone in 18 months. You're talking about somebody who you're going to make a long-term commitment to, somebody who will presumably become the leader of your defense once Van Dijk moves on.
Yeah.
I think this is having an impact on the pitch and in the dressing room.
Yeah, the dressing room, I don't have enough from there. But on the pitch, I think maybe even Konate himself is not playing with the kind of serenity that he usually has because of that situation. I don't know. I think he had felt unhappy with his contract for a long time, which we know is not the money that he gets, and maybe didn't feel that the recognition from the club had come early enough. It's always difficult. And now, when you're that close of running down your contract, if Real Madrid come calling, if, Bayern Munich come calling because they want to replace Upamecano, who could be leaving as well, all that kind of stuff, then I think if you're Konate, you wait a bit longer, and you're in such a strong position that you play that waiting game.
If you've seen Konate play this year, he's in a less strong position because he's having a dip. And it's a bit, I think it was Klopp's second to last season, and I may be getting this wrong, but there was a period when Klopp actually started picking Joao Quansah ahead of him. So he's had these dips in form before. Obviously, last year he had a monster season. Further up the pitch, Mohamed Salah, like when you have a guy like Salah who creates out of nothing and scores and so on, he papers over a lot of cracks. Even when things are imperfect elsewhere, it doesn't matter because you have a 2-goal lead. In the same way that if Elliot Anderson doesn't materialize on the line, maybe they score, maybe this game goes into a different direction. But all the issues and all the problems would still be there. It's not like they go away just because you're
they were
results.
When they were winning in the last
at the start of the season, right? 6 in a row, but there's issues. Salah isn't where he was last year.
No.
Do we think we're going to get real Salah in the second half of the season?
I don't know. He's going to leave in 3 weeks' time anyway to go to AFCON. Well, yeah.
Will he come back refreshed?
3 weeks. Well, I don't know. If they go all the way Egypt, it's not going to be refreshed if he has to play 7 games.
And it'll be stressful because it's Egypt.
And he's going to go straight back into playing every 3 days, Champions League in the league and Champions League. I don't know. I do think we said last season, it's really, he was incredible between August and January. After that, after Liverpool were knocked out in the Champions League by PSG in February, after that, it was nowhere near as good as it'd been in the first half of the season. So this kind of poor form it's not something new. It's not like if you've just gone from being amazing again to this poor where even sometimes a first touch or a dribble where usually he's just so good at it, it's not happening. It's just not clicking.
It still happens occasionally. It doesn't happen as
Yeah.
regularly as it did. And I don't think there's any question. I don't know if it's something physical or whatever. The defensive output isn't there at all from.
It was
from
never
Salah.
really there though.
I would argue with
Nah, I
Klopp.
disagree.
I would argue with Klopp in the Mane Firmino years.
Yeah, but that's the counter pressing. It's very different than following your fullback, for example. But because they're far more vulnerable, the counter pressing is almost non-existent. I mean, pressing and counter pressing has been a problem all through the season. Like the build-up phase, by the way, without Trent and right back, they're really struggling with it. Hence the Szoboszlai right back idea, which I'm not sure is a very good one. But anyway, at least you try something else. But following his fullback is nothing. But again, it's not him. A lot of wingers just don't do that. So that's also a problem because the rest of what Liverpool do without the ball is also a struggle.
I think also at his age, there's an
course,
idea that you can
sure.
only make so many recovery
absolutely,
runs, right?
Absolutely.
Alexander Isak has scored as many goals for Liverpool in the Premier League and Champions League as you have this
And
season,
you, yeah,
Jules.
yeah.
And you don't play for Liverpool.
Neither do you, yeah. I have to say,
Well, you're a better footballer than me. Slightly.
Yeah, but before we go, why is he starting this game?
So he can play himself into fitness because at some point he's got to develop the chemistry.
So you've got another number 9 because you've got 2 number 9. We said they wanted 2 number 9s. They bought 2 very expensive, very good number 9s, very similar number 9s. But now you have that luxury, right? A lot of clubs would love to have Isak and Ekitike as your 2 number 9s, right? Even top clubs.
I would say Chelsea probably would.
Yeah. PSG would love to have Isak and Ekitike as the 2 number 9 more than Gonzalo Ramos and
I don't know if Luis
Mayulu
Enrique
now.
likes number 9s
True,
as much
but
as
you
you
know
do.
what
But
I
yeah,
mean,
no, I take
like-
your point. Yeah.
And yet you pick the one, and I know he's not much fit, so I know there's a need for him to play. But the last time he started was a month ago. He went away with Sweden in international break. He played 28 minutes in the first game off the bench, 0 minute in the second game. The second game he sat on the bench the whole 90 minutes. He's not in form. I'm not saying Ekitike is not much more in form in the league because I think he scored 1 in 6 or something. But he scored with France in the international break a great goal against Ukraine. He's clearly in better form and more confident than Isak is right now. Why you pick the wrong one?
Because you're at home against Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest.
and
Okay,
so
I know,
what?
I'm going to make the counter.
I know,
argument,
but like,
but this is a logical game, more so perhaps than PSV Eindhoven, given that Bosch is on a high right now and they run around more.
I'm not sure it is, really.
But I mean, I can see the logic. Obviously, it didn't work out, and I think the guy's broader issues. But at home, you expect against Forest a big physical dude up front against a team that you think is going to park the bus because it's Sean Dyche. I can see the logic. It's Anfield. You've
I
got
don't
some
see
level
the logic at all. Why you pick the guy who's not in form compared to the guy who's in form?
because you want him to get. But
Yeah, but
that's
it's
what
not that
Slot
way.
said.
Because look, it's the counter product. It's worked the complete other way. If you read the stats of Isak in that game, he played 68 minutes, I think. It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing.
Yeah, no, they didn't find again the ball.
It's just embarrassing. The guy had 1 shot, and that's the only touch I think he had in the box. He had 2 touches in 68 minutes. And I don't know why you. For me,
So you
it
don't
was like
believe
a
this whole
poison.
trope that when strikers aren't scoring, sometimes, oh, look, a scuff shot, the ball comes off his backside, all of a sudden their confidence is. Because this is what I hear from ex-footballers
But
all the time.
yeah,
I know, I don't believe it.
But if you're
I
in a
guess
good
you don't
te-
believe it either.
No, but if you're in a good team, a team that's winning, no problem. Play him because. But you're in crisis.
Liverpool lost this game, but it's not like.
But it doesn't matter if they won't.
This isn't like Manchester United last season when they were 15th
But the
or
team is
16th.
not playing well, Gab.
No,
So
I
why
agree.
do you play in a team that is not playing well? A player who's nowhere near his best form, out of confidence, out of form, struggling.
I might argue this because he's tried everything else. Nothing's
Maybe,
working.
But Ekitike, I know Ekitike is only 1 goal in his last 6 with Liverpool. But the goal with France was great. His performances with France were great, and they were only last week. It didn't make any sense. And already you stood at the lineup. You went, oh, Isak there? I'm not sure. And if that didn't work, the rest was not going to work, and the rest didn't work either. And I just don't think, like his substitutions that we spoke about earlier, just checking attackers. Here you go, Chiesa. Here you go, Rio. Here you go, Ekitike. It just doesn't work like this.
The other issue is a guy who didn't play today. And we disagree somewhat on this, and that's why we made my bet about the number of games he's going to start number 10 to start anyway. Florian Wirtz, I think this is definitely part of the conversation, because if the team is built for Wirtz at number 10, it means that when I'm playing somebody else there, I'm making an adjustment. Szoboszlai maybe, even though he's got a different skill set from Wirtz, but then again, he's playing Szoboszlai right back.
Yeah, it's Curtis Jones that played in kind of,
Yeah, very similar to Wirtz, isn't he? Curtis Jones. He's identical. He's the English Curtis Jones. Sorry, the English Florian Wirtz. This is an issue too. He's got to find the balance that either allows him to play him at 10 or to find a spot on the pitch where he can influence games.
Yeah.
And I think he's had this, understandably, because it was a club's record signing along with Isak, right? I think it's almost like he's had this obsession with making this work. And I think it's also taken him from, perhaps, I'm just chunking this out there, from addressing some of the other problems that he has on the team, like the Kirkes situation at left back, like the center backs. Is this going to fix itself?
I don't know. I mean, Fanay's injured anyway, so I don't think Slot has to think about it, and he's probably happy with that because there's just another.
But if he finds a formula that works without Wirtz and with no space for Wirtz, then Wirtz is going to come back. And
yeah, but then you, I think right now they need to go for what's working, and nothing is working. So by the time Wirtz come back, nothing might work anyway. So, but it's just another layer. When you think about the fact that last season Slot had really, I know there was a few bits and bobs, the PSG game that we mentioned, the Forest defeat straight after the November international break, October international break, for example. Little bits there and there like that, okay, maybe. But he had nothing really to sort out, as in terms of crisis moments, big issues, let's focus on this. Now he's got all the list that we just mentioned, plus more that we just don't have the time because it's already long on Liverpool.
And we need to leave room for positivity corner.
Yes, of course, that you're really keen on, which, you know, I might leave you to it because I don't share it so much, that corner. But it's a completely different job for him than it was last season, 100%.
All right. This is my positivity corner. These are reasons.
I give you the floor.
Okay. Number one, for all the garbage, however bad they've been, with just a couple of exceptions, most of the season, they're 5 points out of second place. 5 points is something manageable. And the teams in front of them, you can say, oh, look, they're in the bottom half of the table. Yeah, but the teams in front of them, except for Arsenal, except for Crystal Palace, maybe one or two others who I don't remember right now, all of them have problems. All of them have issues. All of them have things to fix. It's not, maybe the title's gone, you're 11 points back, but you can finish the season strong. You can do something in Europe. And I think that's why you don't pack it in at this stage of the season. You don't just turn this into a rebuilding year. And I think that's an important stimulus. Okay, that's my first positive point.
Yeah.
Second positive point, Isak cannot possibly be as bad in the second half of the season as he has been thus far, right? You agree?
Yeah,
Even when he was bad at Dortmund, he wasn't this bad.
No. But the team as well, at some point they're going to get better. We just don't know when.
All right. And I think my third positivity is...
It's a big corner, though.
It is a big corner. Smart people learn from their mistakes. Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes are smart people, right? Michael Edwards has had setbacks. He's been punched in the face. He's come back. All these people say the man is a genius. I would like to think that he can push the right buttons, whether it's a signing in January. Now, I'm going to stereotype here because I don't know Michael Edwards as well as I know Richard Hughes, but I think that role, is really important here because you need, obviously, intelligence, the planning, blah, blah, blah. You also need a high degree of emotional intelligence. You need the EQ. You need to know how to talk to the players, to the coach, and so on. I know Richard Hughes can do that. And I think they definitely bear some of the responsibility for what happened in the summer, which they may all turn out to be great ideas in 3 years' time, but right now they're not.
Yeah.
I have faith that they can act and they can salvage this and that Liverpool can go on a run in Europe and finish top four. Is it disappointing given they won the title last year and spent the moon in the summer? Probably. But at least it's forward progress. That's my positivity corner.
Well done.
Have I convinced you?
Liverpool fans.
Have I convinced you?
Absolutely not. But I'm in the negativity corner.
All right, enough Liverpool. How about some quick hits instead?
Let's go, guys.
Real Madrid have to come from behind to escape defeat at Elche as Xabi Alonso switches to a back three. And there's a Trent appearance, the first since August.
Not great, though.
Trent start, I should say. Jules, the lead is down to a single point.
This was not good from Real Madrid. They salvaged a point, I think we can say. There's a lot of talk in Spain about the first goal, the Houston goal, with the pass from Bellingham with his arm, maybe or maybe not. Even probably Vinicius on the goalkeeper on the second goal. Like, on Iñaki Peña, that kind of stuff. Elche, a good team. We said it before. We said when they lost away at Barcelona, they're a good ball-playing team.
Very attacking team. They have people in front of the ball, and you don't expect it.
They're a pleasure to watch, really, and they don't always get it right. Obviously, because they still a small team with small players, but they gave Real Madrid a good game. A Real Madrid team that was not good. Not on form, Vini on the bench, Rodrigo starting with Kylian and Brahim Diaz. It was just not convincing at all anything they did with the ball, really.
Was it stupid to try the back three here when you...
He tried it before. We saw that at the Club World Cup, for example.
No, I know,
not
but
the first time.
That felt like preseason training, the World Cup.
Yeah, but then I think there's a case for it, maybe, somewhere, especially with Tchouaméni, when Tchouaméni plays. Which was not the case here. I mean, Dani Ceballos, as we said, we're not our biggest fans. I just think it was weird for a game like against a team like that with that quality. Because, we knew what Elche were going to offer. And not sure it made much sense.
They had injuries. They had people traveling, coming back. But, this was a bad interpretation. Disappointing that people, I think, didn't seize the opportunity. The people who were out there.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Rodrigo, first and foremost.
Yeah. My boy Magic Mike saves the penalty and Christian Pulisic scores at the other end as Milan win the derby against Inter 1-0. Gab, Max Allegri is vindicated.
So
first shot on target, first goal. Only goal.
This is what Allegri brings, right? Yeah. So this is what he's good at. In-game management, pushing buttons, motivating players. Rafael Leao was a monster in this game. A monster of activity by Leao standards. And then you somehow get the win. And then you break it down. And then if you watch the game, you'll notice Inter hitting the woodwork twice. You notice that the goal comes in part because there's no tactical foul in midfield. And I think largely because Jan Sommer, it's weird how he goes down. He seems to push the ball into Pulisic's path. And then Çalhanoğlu misses a penalty. And look, and the guy never misses. I could credit Magic Mike. He does some mind games here.
He's great on penalties. One of the best goalkeepers.
No, but the way he approached this, he stands like a third of the way across. He's not in the middle. He's like daring him to do that. I love that. He got into Çalhanoğlu's head clearly. He also made an absurd two tremendous saves off Lautaro and off of Thuram.
Yeah.
I think Kivo's going to get slaughtered for defeats, but I don't think Kivo deserves to get slaughtered. I thought he was brave. I thought he made the right decisions. I thought he outplayed them. I thought he showed personality in playing Sucic and bringing on Boni for Lautaro when he did. Sometimes things don't go your way.
Yeah.
Don't poke the bear, or the Bayern in this case. They go 2 goals down at home to Freiburg, and then they win 6-2 as Michael Olise puts on a masterclass. Was it 4 assists?
Yeah, 4 assists and a goal. Yeah, and a goal out of the 6 goals. And Bayern very slow to start, which is strange because we're not used to that from them. Obviously, as you know, they've been incredible this year.
Stuff.
Yeah, and Freiburg are not very good, especially away from home. But again, watching the game, you never thought this is going to end like this, that Bayern are going to come back in the game. You knew, I think the players knew, they never panicked. They stayed calm and composed, and then they destroy them. And to be fair, it could have been more than 6, easily. Olise, in the form of his life, I don't think there's any doubt on that, both with the national team and with his club.
You always talk about generations, leaders. When sort of the Joshua, Kimmich, Kane, Neuer generation moves on, in Olise, who's 23, and Musiala, when he's back, 22, they have the players to rebuild.
Take over. Certainly on the pitch, vocally maybe not as much.
You grow into it. You grow into it.
No, Olise will never be that.
He's a mute?
Almost, yeah. No, he never talks. But which is fine. It's his personality. There's no problem about that. Chelsea are second in the table, Gab. Enzo Maresca mixes it up and they win 2-0 away at Burnley.
Yes. Moises Caicedo on the bench. Yeah. How about that? Who'd have thunk that, huh? Esteban Willian also out. Reece James on the load management plan where he comes on at halftime. It's all pre-programmed because Barcelona are in town in midweek. Look, they get it done. Great pass from Jamie Gittins for the first goal. Burnley are just terrible. They didn't even shoot on goal and like halfway through the second half. That said, if you're only 1-0 up late in the game, anything can happen. So he's sailing pretty close to the wind, Enzo. El Nasser thump El Khalij 4-1. But Jules, there's one thing to talk about in this game. Cristiano Ronaldo's overhead kick in the 6th minute of injury time. Yeah. You're the Techers guy. I will defer to you. But am I wrong in not being overly impressed relative to some of the other stuff, not just he did in the past when he was younger, but continues to do?
So you prefer other things that he does than the overhead kick?
He's obviously scored better goals. But it seems to me...
That was pretty good, I think.
I was very good. But 6 minutes of injury time, looping ball like that, I've seen Cristiano do that many times. It just doesn't seem... It seems like something
I think you're a bit harsh. I thought that was an amazing goal, especially at that time when he's been running for 90 minutes at 40. And I know he's...
How much running does he do in the 90 minutes?
True, but still, you still spend 90 minutes on the pitch. McTominay did it after 4 minutes. So it's not... when you've done it after 90 minutes, I think, in the whole game, physically, you're certainly not as sharp as after 4 minutes in the game, obviously. I still thought it was incredible, and I don't know.
I almost expect this from him.
Yeah, probably. That's a fair point, too.
But then again, you are wearing an Al Nassr jersey, as we say this.
I'm wearing Cristiano's shirt, of course, yeah. In purely tribute of this goal, because I just thought, there's... Again, I don't think we need to choose between Messi and Cristiano. Some would like Cristiano, some would love Messi.
I was choosing between Cristiano and Cristiano, to be clear.
Yeah, no. But it's what he's doing still at that age is incredible. Like is, obviously, Leo Messi, who scored a goal and gave 3 assists in Inter Miami's win against Cincinnati 4-0 in the MLS playoffs.
Yes, I had this game on in one of my TVs because obviously...
Early kickoff, yeah, it was 10 p.m. UK time, I think.
Yes, and so I had the Eagles game, which unfortunately didn't go according to plan.
I didn't even think you would mention the Eagles today.
No. They could have scored... I don't follow MLS. I just watch the Inter Miami highlights, but I watched this game. They absolutely ripped them apart.
Yeah,
maybe it helped that Luis Suarez wasn't there or came on. But yeah, aren't Cincinnati reasonably good?
Well, not bad through the season, but obviously not.
Because he could have had a hat trick of goals and a hat trick of assists.
Yeah,
the old guy on the pitch.
Yeah, easily.
That was something.
We lost Heung-min Son, by the way, in MLS playoffs. He was beaten by Vancouver and Thomas Muller on penalties, and Hugo Lloris was not happy with the plastic pitch.
Jules, we're not done. We have more quick hits.
Yes.
Good day for Crystal Palace alums. First, Olise for Bayern, and 24 hours later, Eberecie's hat-trick for Arsenal, who thumped Spurs 4-1 in the North London derby to extend their lead to 6 points, Jules.
Yeah, it was an incredible win for Arsenal in the derby, of course, against the terrible Spurs teams. Let's not even mention them too much. But Arsenal were brilliant without having to be that great anyway, because Spurs were so bad. And Eze, the pick of it, really, he could have scored 4 or 5 easily. He was so composed, so good on the ball. But the whole Arsenal team, even with Gabriel that Nkapie replaced really well, albeit against a terrible team, were just perfect.
You mentioned that also. I might throw in also no center forward. I'm not a Mika Merino guy, but I thought he played really well. The intelligence between him and Eze is pretty remarkable. Although Eze's goal, I guess Arsenal's second goal.
Yeah, his first one, yeah.
Should have been disallowed. Yeah, you only have like 3 people standing in front. I mean,
Vicario, yeah.
Sort this out, guys.
Yeah. And sticking with that game, Gab, a season low 0.07 expected goals and no shot of any kind until 10 minutes into the second half. Thomas Frank said it takes full responsibility.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason I respect Thomas Frank. He got everything wrong. The game plan, I thought, worked okay for the first half hour. Arsenal, other than the very early Rice chance, which, good Saint Vic snuffed out. They didn't really produce anything, right? You had the Saka, the Saka free kicks from the side, whatever, right? Big deal. But then Arsenal adjusted a little bit. Mika Merino and Eze found their spaces. And then suddenly, even your defensive plan's not working. And your counter-attacking plan with Richarlison, Kudus, and Odegaard, if you have nobody who can even pass the ball remotely, and you don't in that back line because Danso's not a passer. Van de Ven may be impressive when he runs with the ball, but he doesn't. He's not a passer. Romero, forget about it. Jed Spence, what are we kidding? Like seriously, if I go through the back seven, and I know, and you have Palinha too.
Yeah.
Who can pass the ball to the front three with any kind of accuracy? The best passer is Bentancur, followed by Vicario, which probably tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
That's on Frank. Oh, and by the way, if you're going to change things, it's got to be more than Xavi Simons. That's at halftime.
I mean, he was anonymous anyway. It's like if he hadn't played.
How about those Geordies? Newcastle United beat Manchester City 2-1, and it could have been more, Jules. And I think, in honor of Don Hutchinson, we should have had them higher, but they're just, other bigger stories.
Yeah, exactly. I could have been more for City as well. Erling Haaland's expected goals is 1.6 in a game that his expected goal is 1.56.
No. It was just the...
Foden should have scored a 0-0, probably 2 goals. I think it's a penalty on Foden anyway.
It was
as well.
Barnes could have scored more, so true. If Don were here, he would point out.
Higher than Newcastle. I think it's a game that you play again, and I'm not sure Newcastle will win. But
they were close, Jules. Let's give them a little.
No. I was going to say, you cut me when I said the but. Right. Newcastle took advantage of this new Pep Guardiola style and system and that midfield. Because the problem is when you lose the ball, your rest defense is obviously not as strong. And that's exactly what they exploited. On the wings, Barnes and Murphy were very good. The fullbacks as well. Bruno Guimaraes and Tonali and Joelinton were outstanding in that midfield too. So it's a shame that we don't see that enough from Newcastle, especially away from home.
I say this is a game where Pep got outcoached a little bit. Because when we bring up the expected goals, they could also bring up the Donnarumma save off of Voltemade, which I thought was unbelievable.
Oh, and Barnes.
And the Barnes one. So... yeah, I was hugely impressed with what we saw from Newcastle. Like you said, though, it's a shame. Can't happen. Doesn't happen regularly.
Let's see if they can do it on Tuesday in Marseille. And sticking with Newcastle, Gab, I know you like your entrance music. So what do you make of the decision to replace Local Hero with Bladen Races at St. James's Park?
Okay, I appreciate this is only really relevant if you're a Newcastle fan. And I defer to
you know
Newcastle
the songs,
fans.
because I don't know the songs.
Sing
Local Hero?
Well, Local Hero doesn't have lyrics, so I can't actually sing it.
Is it the guitar from...
yes, it's the guitar from Mark Knopfler.
Oh, Dire Straits, okay. And what's Bladen Races?
Bladen Races is a song from like the 1800s, which like Newcastle fans, it's local to Newcastle. I mean, they both have roots in the city.
Yeah.
But what's interesting here aren't the songs so much, it's a local preference. I'm not a Geordie, whatever, who am I to say? But I associate Local Hero with it because it's what they've been playing for a long, long time, and it's wistful and it's different. But apparently it was actually Eddie Howe and the players who said, you know what, can we have something a little bit livelier when we come out, and maybe something that the fans can actually sing. The fans have their own version of Bladen Races. The fans sing their own version of Bladen Races, by the way, as well. It's just not the entrance music. I just thought that was interesting. But it's
I think it's good, if the players want it and the fans are happy, I would do it.
Yeah, the fans need to be happy with it. I think early polling suggests that fans don't like change.
Oh, yeah, true.
Barcelona return finally to the Camp Nou and celebrate with a 4-0 demolition of Athletic Bilbao. Jules, an emotional moment.
Yeah, 45,000 were allowed in, which we knew before.
221 no-shows. I would love to know who those people were.
Yeah, exactly. The first game in, 800 days or 909 days or something like
909.
Yeah, 909 at the Camp Nou. It was good to be back. They had a shirt where, as you can see on the Ferran Torres shirt, if you see, Tottenham and Casa, we go home, we come back home. The whole thing, the stadium looks a bit weird because it's still being built, so it's a building site, let's be honest here. But the whole afternoon was very nice. It was helped by the fact that Athletic Club Bilbao were very poor, and then it was literally open door for Barcelona. I like the fact that Lamine Yamal, who'd only played 7 minutes in his career at the old Camp Nou, really, and some players like Fermin had never played even.
Yeah, many players. I think there were 4 or 5 who'd never played there.
So for them, it was the perfect debut, if you want, or first game, or welcoming back to the new stadium.
We will see it in its full glory, August 2027, 105,000 strong, inshallah.
Yeah, hopefully. Napoli bounced back into second place with 3-1 win over Atalanta. Gab, Antonio Conte knows the buttons to push, and his holidays did him some good.
I think everybody cleared their heads a little bit after he said, clearly I'm the problem, this is not a team, blah, blah, blah. He did simple things. Noah Lang, he didn't like the guy.
No.
He may not like him now because Noah Lang said, "Yeah, no, I had a rough time at the start. I didn't agree, and I still don't agree with the coaches." I'm like, dude, you just shut
Nolan
up.
Lang talks too much.
He
That's the
talks way
problem.
too much.
Too much.
But he's an outspoken Dutchman.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was Noah Lang and David Neres behind Hoyland, and they did the thing. They weren't wide. They were inside. McTominay was deeper in the Manchester United role, back three. And the goals were like photocopies, two of them of each other. Ball to Hoyland, it bounces off him into the path of the two Roadrunners, and off they go. And Atalanta have their issues, but they still have quality. I thought it was an impressive win. Conte, by the way, the Napoli president, Aurelio De Laurentiis, afterwards, like, "Oh, Conte got his team back." And Conte said, that's what he tweeted. And Conte hits it back. He was like, "He's wrong. The team never left me. The team were always with me.
Of course.
They've always been with me. They will always be with me." Yeah, Conte. Luis Enrique sends out the B team, partly by choice, partly by necessity, and it's a 3-0 win over Le Havre. But between the visitors hitting the woodwork and the ridiculous Lucas Chevalier save, maybe the best save of the weekend.
Yeah.
Was this closer than it looked?
Yeah, a little bit. Although I think PSG also missed some chances, and
Yeah,
I think could have been a.
it's one of
4-2
those,
win,
like
for
4-2,
example.
6-2.
Exactly. And Le Havre played well, and Didier Digard, obviously the manager, who is a former PSG player, good friend of our show, was happy in a way. It's funny you lose 3-0, but he was still happy with the performance, and he should be, because there was a lot of positives. It was just not their night.
So I was interested in seeing like which of the starters actually played. I think it's telling that João Gomes and Vitinha both played. João Gomes scoring again.
Joe Neves,
Joe Neves.
Yeah.
He becomes...
It's a monster season so far. Incredible. Really incredible. Dennis Under bags a hat-trick, including an injury time equalizer, and Borussia Dortmund let a 2-goal lead against Stuttgart slip and have to settle for a point. Gab, I thought you said Niko Kovac had brought some stability.
So I think he has.
Yeah.
So I think context matters here, okay? Borussia Dortmund should have won this game. They deserve to win this game.
Totally.
Undav put on his Superman cape. That first goal, that weirdo backwards flick.
Yeah, he's such a good player when he wants to be.
Is that genius? Does he think like this is the only way I can get the ball behind me?
I think so. Yeah.
Nobody's expecting that.
Yeah, definitely not.
Go and watch the highlight. I think it's a
Yeah.
bit special. After that, the other goals come late. Obviously, you score in the 89th minute, you think you're going to win, and then you can't give up an injury time. But I don't think this is down.
But it was disappointing though. Still,
It's
the
disappointing.
result is disappointing because they deserve better and they should have got better.
But again, I can't have it both ways. I can't talk about performances all the time. Performance-wise,
Yeah.
this is okay. I am not ready to say that Borussia Dortmund have gone back to their original status.
No. But it's not the first time this season though that this kind of thing happened. When
No,
they
but it
get
happened.
back.
Can we at least agree it happens a lot less
True.
than it happened before?
That's
Can we
very
have a bit of faith in Uncle Nico?
Yes.
It's weird that I'm liking Niko Kovac now when I disliked him most of my career. But Nico, I am impressed with the work you're doing. Atletico de Madrid grind out a 1-0 win away to Getafe as my boy Magic Jack Raspadori comes on, forces a late own goal.
Yeah.
That's right. Jules, they nearly got borderline.
Yeah, they nearly got borderlines. They probably should have got borderlines, even with Magic Antoine Griezmann, my boy, coming on early because of the Llorente injury. It didn't change much. There was just not much in this game at all. As often when we watch Getafe, right? This is often like that, what they do to the
They
opposition.
nearly gave up the equalizer at the end as well.
Yeah.
To be fair, no Giuliano Simeone, no Robin Lenormand,
No,
who
yeah, it's
supposedly
true.
is good.
That's true.
And then they lose Llorente too. No All Black.
No black, yeah.
Although-
So there was a lot of players missing, and they got a win. That's all they would care about, really, not the performance. 3 draws in a row now for Juventus, who are held 1-1 away. Fiorentina, great goal by Fiorentina if you haven't seen it, by the way. Gab, Luciano Spalletti said he sent on Jonathan, David and Lois Openda for way too late.
What, like 2 minutes to go? You think it might have been a little late?
How weird.
He's a weird man. All right, I got to start at the top. He put his eggs in the Dusan Vlahovic basket, obviously.
Yes.
Fiorentina fans like
Obviously.
Dusan Vlahovic about as much as they like venereal disease. That doesn't justify he was ethnically abused and on 2 occasions they had to stop the game. It was maybe predictable. I'm glad they applied the protocol and they're taking this stuff seriously. Fiorentina players going and pleading with their fans to stop, and eventually they did. As for the game itself, But there's two ways to look at it. And I think this is the problem with Juve, right? You have Juve for years have said, winning is the only thing that matters. Look at us. Ha ha. We play garbage football. But look, we always win, right? Which is really annoying, really stupid, really short-sighted. Hey, but it's Juve, right? The problem now is that because they're so obsessed in defining everything by results, they don't notice the fact that actually Spalletti's already provided some progress. Yes, it's 3 draws, but they totally deserve to beat Torino. I thought they deserved to beat Sporting.
Yeah.
And they probably should have won this game too. I know Moise Ken hit the woodwork and stuff, but it's a new coach on the other end. Dusan Vlahovic missed a sitter as well.
Good chance, yeah.
Spalletti, again, didn't help himself with the late changes. I don't know if he thought he was going to do some psychological mind game with Vlahovic. There's still a lot of issues here. But what bugs me and what they need to grow out of, and I'm not talking about every Juve fan, but I'm talking about, and I'm certainly not talking about Damien Comolli, who I think has a different view. I'm talking about all the pundits, the media, and so on. Stop judging this team only by results, especially when you have a coach. Spalletti's had, and I don't like Spalletti, as you know.
Yeah.
But he's had like 5 training sessions with his team?
Yeah, probably.
And still, obviously, they won the first game against Cremonese. Still, they could have easily won the next 3.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he'd be the greatest guy, the greatest coach in history. So I think we need to be a little bit balanced on this and look at the performance and look at the signs of progress that are there. There's still a lot of issues to work out. Oh, and by the way, at least he's taking responsibility when he does stupid things.
Yeah, true.
Morgan Rogers scores twice, including a nifty free kick as Aston Villa beat Leeds 2-1. Jules, and that was on the road too. 6 wins and 7 in the league for Unai Emery. They're creeping up there.
Yeah, I mean, remember when they were not winning, we were saying this has happened before. Last season, they went through a really bad patch with, I think, no wins in 10 in the league.
You were saying that, not me. I was saying, Unai Emery's been exposed for the weirdo vampire that he is.
Yeah, but again,
right.
I think in a season like it is, which is not a very good season, we've said that already, outside of Arsenal, obviously, and maybe a Crystal Palace, like you said, or something like that. They are putting that running together, and then that's why they're climbing up very quickly in the table. Massive mistake by Dibu Martinez on that goal. I'm not even sure what he's doing, but that's an embarrassing goal to concede from an Aston Villa point of view. But after that, Leeds are just not very good enough. I don't think Daniel Farke will finish the season anywhere. I think they've got a horrendous run of fixtures coming up where they play basically every big team. And then I think after that, because he's not going to win any of those games, probably they're going to get rid of him and replace him by a guy that might not do much better, but at least it will be a different voice and methodology. But for now, Morgan Rogers, what a player though. That's why I think he's going to start for England at the World Cup. Ahead of Bellingham, ahead of Foden, ahead of Palmer, ahead of whoever you want. Tuchel loves him because of those kind of guys, those kind of goals he can score.
Oh, you heard it here first. Rogers starting England's first game at the World Cup.
I can see why Tuchel loves him so much.
I just say this about Emery. As you know, I'm very mindful of the fact that even though we pretend otherwise, it's all about resources. That is a big part of it. Last summer, if I asked you who was Villa's biggest signing of the summer, who would you say?
Evan Gesson?
No, not Bizot. But yes, but this is a level, right?
Yeah.
This is the level.
Yeah, but then
compared to the spending they did before.
Yeah, true. But he brings on Malen and the left back that was at Chelsea, and then in Germany.
Okay, why are we both banging? The guy who then went to Borussia Dortmund and reached the Champions League final. The guy who's Dutch.
Yes. So Malen and I'm sorry.
Producer Freddie, slow with the Google on this one. It's literally on the tip of my tongue. If we only had phones here.
Oh my God.
All right.
Let me do that again because this is embarrassing.
Yeah, this is really embarrassing. Yes, Ian Maatsen.
I was thinking about Matsu. I kept thinking about Matsu. But then yesterday he brings on Malen that cost 30 million. Maatsen who also, I think they paid 30 odd million for him as well. So there's good depth in that squad. Yeah,
but what I'm saying is a lot of coaches in the summer, if you look at what happened with Monchi leaving, with Dibu Martinez pretending like he was going to leave.
No, that's true.
Emery's gone through that, and he's come out the other side, and he's worked with what he has, and he's delivered this run of form. And again, and I say this as somebody who thinks he's odd. He's kind of like It's kind of like a more successful Spanish version of Spalletti, if you want. This is impressive.
Yeah,
I am impressed.
Really good. Roma keep rolling. They beat Cremonese 3-1 top of Serie A, and Maciasule is a bit special.
He's a bit special. We're trying to naturalize him in Italy, hoping that Lionel Scaloni doesn't
of
notice that he's
course.
Argentine. No, it's not going to work. They were in control. Didn't stop Gasperini from flipping out,
Of course.
getting 2 yellow cards in the space of a minute and getting sent off after an hour. Sule scored a great goal. And even Evan Ferguson, how about that?
I know.
Scoring a goal as well. I think
Yeah.
opening his account in Serie A. He's regenerated kind of some of the old guard, like Cristante, like Mancini, like Pellegrini.
Yeah.
He's getting a tune out of Celik, which people don't thought. He's regenerated freaking Manu Kone.
I know.
Right?
Well, it was very good last season, Manu Kone. That's why he almost got a big move in the summer.
But he's the real producer.
Yeah.
Okay. He can't take credit for regenerating a guy who started playing better after playing badly.
Well, yeah, but I don't think it was
because
that
if it
bad
happened
last
before
season.
he arrived, no. But he knew Gasperini was arriving. No,
Yeah,
no,
maybe.
No. Okay, but still, they're top of the table. Will they stay there?
Yeah.
I don't know. Serie A race is so tight.
It's the most
so tight.
exciting of all of Europe, even more than Barca and Real Madrid, because that's only Barca and Real Madrid.
And it's always the same two
yeah, exactly.
freaking
Whereas
teams.
this one, you've got 5 teams in 4 points or something.
Yes, let's go and hate. Well, no, wait. What about France? It's a 2-point. That's a
Yeah, but that's
exciting,
not as
riveting
sexy as Italy.
3 teams and 2. You think France isn't as sexy as Italy?
Not this title
I am
race.
impressed.
Not this title race. Everything else is, but not this title race.
This was way back on Friday. Speaking of France, but Olympique Marseille win their local derby 5-1 to stay 2 points back. And they're alongside Lens as well.
Yeah, Lens won as well. Scored another goal on set piece, but Marseille and De Zerbi are standing away at Nice. A Nice team that is just not really clicking right now, but it's still a difficult opponent, especially in Nice, especially in the derby, especially with no away fans because they were not allowed to travel. It was deemed too dangerous. But outstanding performance from Mason Greenwood again, Angel Gomez again, Timothy Weah again in the right back position. It was a really, really strong performance from Marseille, who have been great. Apart from maybe a few performances and few games there and there, especially maybe more away from home. But that game on Tuesday against Newcastle is going to be incredible. The Velodrome is going to be incandescent. It's going to be fantastic.
I think Ligue 1 are the only major league that do this. Why do they play games on Friday at the end of international break? Do clubs ever push back?
The clubs wanted it for more rest for Tuesday Champions League.
So they could have vetoed this because their international players are all just back and everything, right?
Yeah, but I think a lot of them were back quite early anyway. So it's a day more recovery than Newcastle.
No, I understand that, but it just seems curious. Nobody else seems to do it because look, I mean, a lot of teams played on Tuesday. Some teams, in South America might be coming back even further. Just you're chucking these guys on the pitch.
Yeah,
with what a run through. But
Yeah.
I just thought it was an interesting French quirk.
Gab, some notable news from the Premier League meetings on Friday.
Yeah, if this stuff bores you, feel free to skip forward. But the SCR squad ratio rules or squad cost ratios that passed 14-6, very tight. They needed 14 votes to pass it. This basically means that you can spend 85% of your revenue on players on your squad, basically. So it's player wages, it's amortization, it's agent fees, and it's the cost of your coaching staff. If you do not comply with that, you get fined 21% of your overspend, and then that gets distributed among the other clubs. I think it's not an instant impact for the big clubs because UEFA have even stricter squad cost ratio rules. Theirs are 70%. But the clubs that are against it are clubs we know of, like Brighton, like Crystal Palace, clubs that have done relatively well, but want to be able to maintain that flexibility. It's not like these are well-run clubs. It's not like they overspend year on year, and they say this is actually going to. It's harder for us to raise our revenues, basically, and this is actually going to cement some of the edge that the big clubs have, anchoring the de facto spending cap that failed. Only 7 clubs voted in favor of it. I was surprised that it was even introduced because normally they don't introduce votes that they know they're going to lose. They say that they've been working on this for a very, very long time. I think some of the main proponents of this, I think Tim Lewis, who used to be with Arsenal,
Yeah.
who's now gone. I think he was like the architect of this.
Yeah.
And so some clubs might have done a 180-degree turn on it.
Did somebody not vote in this anchoring
Yes,
thing?
somebody abstained. Yes.
Abstained, okay.
Yes. So that's why it was 7-12.
Yeah.
It could have been the proposed legal actions from agents and especially players if they introduced this. I don't know. At some point, the books need to be squared. I think some of the arguments against anchoring, such as the fact that, it's going to give an advantage to other European clubs. Guys, the only European clubs that can go beyond this and still fulfill UEFA's rules are Real Madrid and Bayern. There's nobody else.
Yeah.
Nobody else. Not Paris Saint-Germain, not with all their cuts, not Barcelona with their debt. There is nobody else who can do this. And you can always change it if all of a sudden your teams are at a disadvantage. It seems kind of stupid. I think it was largely a case of Manchester United and Manchester City were the two biggest clubs against anchoring, and I think they were very good at lobbying others to join. And I think there was some horse trading as well to get the squad cost ratio rules to pass. Other clubs accepted voting against anchoring. So it goes off the table for now. And the other big news or notable news, predictable, you could no longer pull the trick that Chelsea and Everton and Aston Villa pulled. You cannot sell capital assets to yourself, essentially, like they did with the hotels at Chelsea or the women's team. This brings the rules in line with UEFA. Leipzig are second in the Bundesliga, and they beat Werder Bremen 2-0. Jules, second half goals, but very deserved. Yeah,
and Rodrigo is a very special talent. If you don't know him, you can go and check him out. Maybe the next big German thing. He scored for the national team, by the way, against Slovakia the other day in the last World Cup qualifier. He's only 19. He's a wonderful talent and was very good in his game. Scored a great goal to lead his team towards a win. They're the only one that seemed to be able to kind of like keep up a little bit with Bayern. They're still 5 or 6 points behind, so it's nothing for Bayern to worry about. But if Leipzig can finish second, and again, we've said it before, but they've got no Europe, which should help them compared to who they're competing with to finish in that top 4, maybe 5, to qualify for to return to the Champions League next season. So that was a big win, considering a lot of the others dropped points, obviously, on the Saturday. So big win for them. But we'd rather go.
Let's hope it doesn't happen.
You so. The draw for the World Cup qualifying playoffs was held after our show on Thursday, Gab. So let's remind everybody what it is and maybe do some predictions.
That's right. I'll just go through. They're basically foursomes and threesomes. So I'll just tell you what the fixtures are, and then we'll both predict, and then people can pull out this video in March and then make fun of us if we get things wrong.
Yeah.
Because they won't praise us if we get everything right.
Yes.
All right, we have New Caledonia against Jamaica, the winner facing the Democratic Republic of Congo.
I want to believe in the Congo to go back to the World Cup for the first time since 1974. So whoever wins, I would love New Caledonia to win, but I don't think they can beat Jamaica. I think Congo would prevail anyway.
And in 1974, of course, they were Zaire.
Yes.
I'm with you as well. Congo also, not least because like a lot of these teams, Congo, Haiti, Iraq, a lot of these countries are coming from a lot of strife, a lot of violence. And this is something I think that can bring a country together.
Completely.
Bolivia against Suriname. The winner faces Iraq.
Bolivia are the strongest favorite, the favorite here, obviously, I think. Although Suriname have been one of the great stories. I know it's not Curacao because they didn't make it all the way straight in, but they've got a lot of Dutch influence, obviously being a former colony. I would love Iraq to qualify. So more by heart than head, I'll go for Iraq to qualify and beat whoever between Bolivia and Suriname win that semi-final.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Iraq as well. They really battle-tested with that crazy Asian qualifying process. Let's move to UEFA.
Yeah.
Wales against Bosnia and Italy against Northern Ireland.
Italy in the playoffs.
Imagine that. We
decided
we enjoyed the playoffs. So much fun. So it was so great the last 2 times we did it. He said, let's do it again.
Yeah, I think it's a tough draw for Wales, sorry. Although the first game against Bosnia would be in Cardiff, and then if they win that, they would be in Cardiff as well to face either Italy or Northern Ireland. It would be Italy. If Italy don't qualify anywhere through this path, I never even want them to ever take part in any World Cup qualifiers ever.
That's fine. That's fine. We'll just wait till we host it so we can avoid the.
Okay,
qualifiers.
maybe. But you see already the potential of Edin Dzeko knock you out. Of the
No,
World
I don't
Cup.
see
Of
any
course you see,
potential. No, I don't see.
Northern Ireland, you cannot lose to Northern Ireland. This would not be serious. But then after that, Wales or Bosnia.
Well, is Gareth Bale
it's
coming
gonna-
out of retirement?
it's gonna
Come
be
on, come
tensed
on,
a little bit.
come on. We got this. Italy all the way. Ukraine against Sweden and Poland against Albania.
This is two very good games. Graham Potter not very lucky with the draw because this is tough.
He doesn't deserve to. He's already lucky with the fact that they came in through the back door
Very true.
because of his predecessors'
Yes.
achievements in the Nations League.
That is very true. That's very true. I think Poland and Albania will be very good, and I think Poland just about will be a very tough and strong Albania team. I would go for Ukraine against Poland and Lewandowski to go to the World Cup and adding to the list of the guys who are playing in his last World Cup.
I am Team Albania because I love me some Silvino. I obviously have Ukraine beating Sweden for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to lean Ukraine to go because, again, that's another country
That would be
that's
a great
been through a
story.
lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Turkey against Romania and Slovakia against Kosovo.
I like this pathway too. I think Kosovo could beat Slovakia for sure. I've been quite impressed with Kosovo in the qualifiers.
No love for Tullio Calzona, man. This is
No, but
unbelievable.
Turkey and Montella. So here you go, another Italian manager. Turkey and their generation will beat Romania and then will beat Kosovo to go to the World Cup.
Yeah. By the way, fun fact about your boy Zagrova.
Yeah.
Juventus paid for a private jet to get him back in time for the game, so he could be all rested and ready
Oh,
to go.
good.
And did he play any minutes? No,
No.
he played as many minutes as you did in that game.
Oh,
0.
wow.
But yes,
Great spending.
Turkey. Come on, this is your time. This is your time.
It is. I'll agree.
Czech Republic, Ireland, and Denmark, North Macedonia.
Wow. I mean, I think the Czech Republic v Denmark final is probably what's going to happen and the most likely, although as we saw with Ireland against Portugal and Cristiano, don't write them off. I think Denmark, surely. I know it was disappointing against Scotland and heartbreaking, all of that, but Denmark have to qualify.
You say that. Yeah, on paper, Denmark
they're
should
the
be
best
Denmark.
team.
I will be rooting for anyone but Denmark.
Oh, okay.
No, it's just that.
North
okay,
Macedonia, I've never really beaten anybody in.
just
playoffs.
stop it. Just stop. He's trolling me. I want HR on the phone. Jules, we're both big Paul Pogba fans. Tell me about his return to the pitch after more than 2 years. You actually wrote the number in one of the group emails. Was it 800 days? Something like that?
And 811, I think, or something like that, or 13. I can't remember. We knew he was going to be in the squad. We wrote the story on Wednesday that he was going to play. That was the plan. He went through the Thursday training session, all good. The Friday training session, all good. He was very excited on Saturday. It didn't go well on the pitch for his team at all because they were down to 10 and 4-1 down when he came on in the 85th minute. But you could see on his face as he was waiting with his number 8 and the kind of beigey shirt that Monaco have away from home this season. They were wearing, how excited you could see and the relief almost and the emotion and the happiness, all of that he had carried on his face just before coming on. To be fair, he touched the ball far more than I thought he would in 5-ish minutes. There's touches and diagonals that he's been doing all his life that you know he still has. The plan is obviously to build up that game time and the minutes, and hopefully at some point he will be able to play the whole 90 minutes, maybe go back-to-back games, both started and maybe both at some point 90 minutes too. But for now, it's just beautiful to see him on the pitch. He went obviously through hell, both with the doping ban and all the controversy with his own family and the extortion. So to see him back on the pitch as a footballer, which is all he does, he's going to be 33 in March, is incredible. So I was so happy for him. And now they play in the Champions League in midweek. Then there will be another game. I think they play PSG maybe next weekend even. So for him, the Paris-born and bred kid to play against his home city is very special. So it's a wonderful, wonderful story. One of the best stories of the weekend.
Forza Paul. That's all I'm going to say.
Gab, I could not help but notice that some Serie A teams were playing with women's names on the back of the jersey. What was that all about?
So, yeah, I can imagine people like tuning in and saying like,
Well,
wait,
it's the
what's
same every
this?
year, so they should know by now. If they
What?
It's the same every year, right?
No, it's not.
Oh,
Milan,
okay.
No, so this is okay. So basically this is the World Day to sort of campaign against violence against women. which is why all the Serie A players they had like a red mark on their
Yes.
cheek, right? And that's a campaign. Everybody's involved. This year, and I think you're confusing this with what Milan did last year for Mother's Day.
Oh, for Mother's Day, that's it.
So last year for Mother's Day,
Yes.
Milan had this idea, and I thought it was great. And they got everybody, all their players, put like the name of their moms on the back
the
of their
mothers
shirt,
made
rather
the
than
name on,
to
yeah.
recognize their mothers and motherhood and whatever. So Serie A said, "Oh, look, that was great, and maybe allowed us to sell a few more shirts. Let's do this. Let's do this again for Violence Against Women's Day." And so I think 5 teams participated: Lazio, Cremonese, Parma, Lecce, and somebody else. But here's the thing: there's 2 elements to this. First of all, it's about violence against women. It's one thing honoring your mother, but they told the players, "Oh, you can put the name of any woman that you like on your back." So some people chose their moms, some people chose their wives or girlfriends, some people chose their daughters. I get the intent. It feels slightly kind of male protector of women rather than honoring. It feels like this is not what the message
I think you're
is
right.
about. This isn't about honoring women. This is
Yeah.
about, like the way Mother's Day is. This is about and maybe even sending the message that like, oh look, the man will put the name on the back of your shirt and you'll be somehow safe. No, this is about ending violence against women. So I think the intention
Was good.
was good. I think part of the reason many teams did not participate in this initiative was they were kind of like, wait, what are we actually doing here? But yes, it looked interesting, and I discovered it was actually more challenging because some of those marginal players for Lecce or Cremonese, I don't know when they have their moms. I don't necessarily recognize them.
Yeah.
And then
So
I see the mom, and then I got to go on Google, and some
who's the
squad number was the
yeah,
same.
The number.
Yes, and you know who? Guess who Jamie Vardy put on whose name he put on his back?
Rebecca.
No, Bex.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
Oh,
Rebecca Vardy.
lovely.
There you go.